Welcome back everyone, hopefully we're looking at my actual screen. It is 7 o'clock on the 22nd of June, that would be a Sunday. Welcome back everybody. So hello to Apollonia Art and Kirk Curtis sitting in the chat. To anybody watching live or watching later, there is a Discord link in the description. For the last 10 episodes it had an extra A at the end. That's now been fixed. So yeah, people were having some difficulty joining the Discord if they were trying to get in on the last 10 live shows, but I've edited it, it's fixed. So anyway, how are you all doing? We're going to be doing a Sunday chill. I got a whole bunch of stuff to tell you, so I thought we'd front load the show with that before we start getting into whatever we're doing. Okay. My GitHubs went down. You'll notice that Mushroom Fleet and Scuffed Epoch are both gone. If you try to search for them, you get a 404. It doesn't actually tell me that my account's restricted anywhere. And they didn't send me a message about it either. So I'm essentially shadow banned. No idea why. They told me to change my passwords on Friday, which I did, and I have two-factor. So it's my email address, my phone number, my email IP. So whatever it is, they know it's me, and they've still locked it down. So I don't know what's going on. I'm assuming that they've nuked it. So what are we going to do about it? I took the opportunity to launch a new platform, which will be my new portfolio site. It's still work in progress, but it's working. So that would be, as you noticed in a lot of my recent projects, I've been putting them under the Origin team tag. Okay, so that would be my portfolio projects. So if I go to originai.com, you get my beautiful holding page. Now, this is all AI generated, guys. It's not real. I'm still pointing to my GitHub, ironically. But if I go to Hub, you get basically an open source GitHub running on Gitty. Anyway, and obviously you don't, this is like the bit where you sign in to do stuff with it, right? But if I just get the link, we can see my account. It's just admin because it's my account. Thing, right? Now I might change this, but at the moment it's a means to an end. It gives us what we need. So obviously if I go to admin, there's 2 repos right now. We've got 0 back to 3, which is what I was trying to release when all of this happened. So, if this is a temporary thing and they sort it out, great, but I'm going to set up a backup, you know what I mean, like a mirror of my GitHub on my own server, so that if for some reason they get, because the thing is, it took down everything, all 170 repos, and there's all kinds of people with all kinds of projects that are using my code. So it's like, to take it all down, it's like affecting a lot of people, and I don't even know why they did it. So anyway, we're going to take the power back and just run our own stuff. Now, I'm still new to this platform, so I might change how it is set up at the moment, but essentially I can share the link and you can git clone it, which is all I needed really, you know what I mean? So there it is. We made our own GitHub. Now, what's next? I want to show you the Figma MCP tutorial, because like I said, we're moving on. The way I see it is, I'll upload my most recent and most important projects. I've already downloaded them all, there's quite a few of them. And so we'll re-upload the most recent ones. I don't know if I'll do them all, there's 170, it'll take a while. But essentially this gives me like a backup. That's the plan. Hey Gerard, welcome, and Dragon Diffusion has shadow banned everyone from Discord. Yeah, I think mirrors are definitely a good idea. I mean, even if there's a problem with this, at least I have a backup of this, which I can then re-put wherever I go. So I think this is more practical long term than being beholden to, because I think it must have been an AI. An AI has targeted my account and locked it down, and you can't have that. It's a crazy weak point. Crazy weak point. So this is, I think, better than making a website with download links and stuff. I think this is like more like what people want to see. So let's take a look at this Figma MCP tutorial then, because it's actually this is a really fun project. So at the moment it's only open to the corporate and enterprise tier, maybe the pro tier, but you use Figma Desktop to make a mock-up of a UI, like a website in this case. Okay. And for this task, you have to imagine that we are a developer, and we have been given the task of making an educational website with a lesson plan, which has been supplied to us, and with a pre-approved website design that was made in Figma. So obviously, artists and UX designers, they make their mock-ups in Figma. Figma have released an MCP, okay, which uses VS Code, and you set it all up. You click on the element. In this case, it would be the whole website frame, the main element. And you say, using my selection, extract the code. And it goes ahead and it makes an HTML template with a CSS style to make it look exactly like that. Okay. So this becomes like a control net for web design. Okay, that's how I see it. Because we're taking a mock-up that was made in design software and we're turning it into a perfect representation of that in working code. The next step is what this tutorial is all about. So let's take a look at the actual source project before we dive into the website, because this is a lot of fun to do. Okay. So this is a real-world demonstration of AI-powered design-to-code transformation using Figma's MCP. This is cutting edge. It literally came out a couple of days ago. Project serves as a tutorial about Figma MCP and a live demonstration of its capabilities. We've created a complete learning experience that teaches developers how to use Figma MCP by showing how we used it to build the tutorial website itself. So this is a meta tutorial. We've used the thing to show you how we made the thing that's teaching you how we made the thing with the thing. Meta tutorial. Learn Figma MCP by seeing it in action. Real world use case. Complete transformation from markdown lessons to professional website and to spec. So if you were past this as a job, it's going to be to a spec. It has to look like that. It does. Before and after showcase. Compare initial prototype with design system compliant. Production ready, fully functional tutorial website with comprehensive content. So the goals here, we're going to teach everyone about the Figma MCP. We're going to demonstrate the design transformation, which is one of our things that we do here all the time. Source to source is what it is, like image to image. Showcase design compliance, okay. And then provide reusable patterns to design to development. So you can obviously follow along. I have included in the labs all the experiments and all the prompts. Notes contains the original lesson plan. Wait. Notes? That's not the lesson plan. That's a bunch of experimental stuff and outputs. Labs? Did I? Oh. Okay, I've made a mistake and uploaded something to the wrong place. Alright, we can fix that. So it should have contained the markdown documents. Looks like I put the wrong thing in the wrong folder. My bad. Okay. So here is the website that we made initially using the markdown lessons, and then here is the website that we made using the templates. So that's what all the source code is about. We also have the initial website, which was generated by extracting with the MCP. So this would be what was sent to you. Tutor Hub website is what was sent to you. This is our template, and then I'll add the markdown for the lesson content, but it's in the website, so you don't need to see the markdown right now. It does also contain some code. Right, so let's keep going. So website versions, we have the initial prototype. Let's take a look at that. So this is the it's not showing the actual web code. Okay. I need to update these links to actually be to the mini site, not to the source code. Another little note. This is all generated as well, obviously, right? So we have the initial prototype, which is generated from the lesson plans. That would be my style. You'll be able to see it's like how I normally make things. Design system, but this is like text to code, so you don't really have that level of control over what the layout and the elements are going to be. Then there's the design system version, which was transformed using Figma MCP. That is the one I just pointed at, the Tutor Hub website. Okay, so so that is actually extracted from the mock-up. All right, and then hello Furnicar, welcome. Battlecruiser operational, and then we got Figma reference. So now we get the final. Oh wait, it's doing it backwards. We'll get to it. I don't know why it's initial prototype design system. Figma reference. Okay, I put it the wrong way around. This is the template. This is the final site. It even says template there. Maybe I should learn to read it. Anyway, design transformation showcase. So, markdown lessons, initial website, Figma design, final website. That's the workflow. So writers team sends you a bunch of lessons. You make that into a website, which is like, you know, looks good and is modern, but it's just whatever, right? It's whatever came out the can. That's how this AI works. But then the design team emails you the Figma mockup. You go in, you click on it, and you get the MCP to extract it to a template. Then we transform our draft website design into the final website design. We're going to cover all of this. And you can go ahead and clone this project, repeat it in order, or just look at the website, which we will do. So, to get this to work, you have to have the tutorial content, which would be passed to you by someone else in the team or written by yourself with AI. Then we have the lesson plans, and then we have step by step, because obviously that's an HTML. That's what it is. We're going to use Markdown, Tailwind, etc. Let's keep going, because this is it's just showing me the code again. Okay, keep going. Project structure. I think this is all pretty elementary. Getting started. I'm just seeing if there's anything here which is like, it's all useful stuff, but you can read this at your own time. So yeah, we're going to go straight to the live demo. Has it got links to the live demo here? No. Alright, so let's go and check it out. So this would be my Figma MCP showcase. Welcome, welcome, get comfy. Thank you for joining. So this is going to showcase AI-driven design to code, which is, I think, a big deal because it's a bit like ControlNet for web design, because you can take a Figma mock-up and have it make a website according to that layout, that composition control of all the elements, right? So let's take a look at what I could do with a couple of prompts. So we have my initial website, which looks like this. A typical Tailwind font awesome adventure. Okay, so let's just show you. Here's the front page, there's the lessons. Okay, we've got all the different lessons. Let's start the tutorial. So what is Figma MCP? Figma MCP is a feature that allows AI assistants to understand and work with your Figma designs. It helps the AI generate code that matches your design accurately. So obviously that means you can be passed or shared or emailed a Figma designed by a professional team, and then use the MCP to convert it into a template which you can then use to build out the rest of the site. So we have to have Figma desktop. You have to have access to an AI assistant that supports MCP. So I use VS Code, and it needs to be connected and set up. When you're in Figma, you right click and activate the MCP, and then they give you a code snippet to use. It was very easy to get set up because it's a remote MCP. You don't install it on your machine. So we're going to learn how to select designs, communicate with the assistant, and understand the responses. So the first step is you open Figma, double click it, create a design or open a design. Then we open up VS Code and make sure the MCP is connected, and position the windows so you can see them both at the same time. I've written this tutorial at the I do not understand what JSON is level, okay? Just so you know, if you want to make a tutorial that's this easy to, it's an absolute beginner. So I literally said explain it at the level where I do not understand what .json is. Okay, so this is going to be very, it's going to be very good. Pro tip, keep Figma and AI assistant available but visible on your screen at the same time. Yeah, love it. Let's not get into Alt Tab now, that's advanced. So using the interface, this is talking about how to use Figma, this is talking about how to use the chat box, so it's explaining literally, there's a text box which you can chat stuff, yeah? I love this level here. So here's some basic terms you're going to see: frame, component, layer, selection, code, MCP tools, variables, node ID. So this is literally aimed at any level. It's like an any level tutorial. What is the selection based method? Okay, when you click on things, you can ask your AI to generate the code for that selection. AI will access your current selection and create code that matches it. So in Figma, look at your design, find the element you want to generate code for. Click once on the element, make sure it's highlighted in a blue outline. Ask your AI assistant to use the selection. So now we switch to VS Code and we type, I need to create code for my current Figma selection. Can you help me? We wait. It will use the get code tool. Be patient. And then we will review the results. What you should get is something like that. HTML. So we clicked on a button for this example. And he says, button, click me. Yeah. So it's turned an image, which was a button, which said click me, into an HTML element with CSS. Select one element at a time, make sure it's clearly highlighted, be clear, simple language. Pro tips, start with simple elements like buttons. I actually started with a full template, but yeah, sure. And so on. Now there is another way to do it, which is the link method, which is basically you right click. Now I do actually have an image of this in the repo. There's an image in the repo anyway, which is the same screenshot from their explanation. It's literally just you find the frame, right click it, and there's an element that says copy link in the Figma desktop app, and that will copy the link, and it will look something like this. You switch to the thing and you include the link like that. So you can get a bit tricky with it by doing it this way. I'm assuming you could do multiples and do context, but the point is it's going to make the code, and then obviously it's up to us to do something with that code. What I said was to write a template. So we have the selection method where you just click on it and you say use my selection, and you have the link method where you can right click on something and have a link identify that element. Okay, so the actual tools that are available in the MCP, you've got get code, which we've covered, get variable definitions. Now this is actually useful because there is actually a plugin which allows you to import variables. Now I couldn't find it, but I'm sure if you use Figma you maybe already have it. I don't know. I'm not a big Figma user. I use it, but not all the time. So basically there is a way to get the code from the VS Code back in, but you have to have like a plugin. So it's not, I couldn't find it, but I was able to test everything else. It also will give you a nice breakdown of, like, you know, color codes and element names and things like this, because that's what this actually means. I think it's just a mechanism, like it's not, this is clearly a one-way deal. It's clearly meant to read a Figma document and turn it into a working HTML. That's what this is basically. There is nothing here really that's trying to put it back the other way yet. So I would watch the space of the development on this one. The connect map I didn't really use, and the get design image I did use, and that works well. So you can bring the image in with that API endpoint. So when you want to do get code, generate code for my current Figma, create code for this design, turn this into code. Obviously we would have been selecting or adding a link at the end for either method. What you'll get, an image of your design, HTML, CSS code, and an explanation of how it works. Let's see now. Show me the design variables, get me the colors and spacing values. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do, and as you can see, check that, that's what you get back. So this is quite useful because obviously this can be added into the document for like presentation or design notes. This is the one I didn't use, get components, so it's doing linkings. This will only work if you've got Figma. I didn't have the Figma Code Connect feature installed. So everything else works fine without that, which is good to know. So get an image, show me an image, and yeah, it does exactly that, it gets an image. So I think use cases is missing, because it's a professional web design generated by AI. Maybe we'll add that missing lesson one day. The use cases is missing. You've got to use your imagination. But yeah, that's pretty much the most part. So now obviously you've seen the main, this is my one, right? So this is my draft site, okay? But actually, let's go back. if we go to the Tutor Hub website, I think it's just in the same place. Maybe it's here. Yeah. So this is what was actually extracted from a Figma design. So this is just a template. And as a matter of fact, let's just quickly dive in and take a look at the original design that I had to work with. And it was created with a prompt as well. So there was Figma, you know, I used a prompt to create it. Okay, so we're just logging into my lapdog. Looks like it's not my computer. Okay. Okay, here we go. Where's the Figma? There it is. Right. So as you can see, a tutorial site listing lessons across the top with a modern dark mode layout and elegant card-based grid introducing lesson pages. So I just hello Zanelli, welcome. So yeah, I literally just used the star prompt feature, and I typed in the prompt and it made me this lovely layout. Now as you can see, this layout has elements and you can change things. So I'm using this to simulate being given a complex layout. I know it's probably not that complex, but I'm not too fussed about that. I thought it would be a valid test. You can see the square I was using initially to try it all out. But anyway, like I said, you've got a reasonably nice web layout here. You know, it's got a thing at the bottom. So yeah, like I said, I thought, yeah, okay, cool. So we used MCP and extract this. That's all I need to show you here, really. Everything else is on the other side. So as I say, this is the result of that. So let's see how it actually ended up. If we go to... Yeah, this is the site we were on. Okay, so let's do the process. We have the initial website that we were just looking at. So the full course is all done, right? And then we have the design system, which uses the template that we just looked at, right? The green one, okay? So let's learn about the process before we dive into that. So, first, we take the markdown lessons and make the initial website. That's the tutorial lesson site we were just looking at. And then we take the Figma design system and have somebody create or send you the, and then we use their model context protocol, their MCP, to extract it into a template. And then, like I said, the final move is the last prompt, which is, take this website and make it use this template. Build a new one in a new folder. You see what I mean? Something along those lines is what we did. And so then you end up with this one. Now, you can talk about... Whoops. Where's 100%? So you can talk about, this was on the opposite side and things like that. But you can see how what it's done is in a single prompt, we've gone from the draft of the thing to this. But it's followed the layout that was requested, right? So we can go into the lessons. And it's basically the exact same thing, but now it's using their theme. And obviously you could tweak this, you could re-roll this, but I'm just saying, like, there it is. And the nice thing about it is, you know what I mean? These elements were defined by that prototype that was drawn up. And so what it gives us, I think, is like a kind of control net for web layouts, because you're able to use Figma to set it all up, mock up the thing, right? And obviously this would apply to app design as well, because if you want to convert to React, you can start from that HTML template for the UI. So then you've got the ability to just sculpt in Figma everything you want, and no more make a button in the bottom left corner for 15 prompts and have it break everything. That's now a thing of the past. Now we can take our app, get a Figma mock-up, extract it, and then rebuild the website with the new theme. And I could say this isn't exactly like the mock-up, but I think that when you imagine that it's had to add in all these extra elements, all these rich elements have been added in, I think actually what you end up with is a full production version of what that template looks like. It's got a lot of polish. It's got a lot of polish. MCP tools, here it is. Give me my prompts that I need. So this has got everything I need to learn this. You see what I mean? And like I said, you can find it on Origin. I need to learn how to say that. Origin AI. OriginAI.com, which is, like I said, it's my new platform. At the moment, the aim is we're going to host all of these different mini sites. So, like, Captioneer V2, all of these different tools that I made that are currently either on Scuffed Epoch or were hosted on GitHub pages. They're all going to get their own place, and then we'll have a neat front end to get to. But also, like I said, the hub. So the hub had to happen. So, do I not have anything after that now? There we go. Because like I said, that was a pain. A lot of people were like, where'd all the stuff go? So I'm going to have to re-upload my workflows, all of that. But like I said, I'm still working on it. But at least we got a backup. So thank you very much. I enjoyed giving that little presentation on the old MCP. Like I said, that was the thing. That was one of the main things I've done in my free time. Because I thought to myself, I know a lot of people use it. It's probably going to be useful. And I didn't see any tutorials on it anywhere. So I thought, we'll make our own tutorial. What are next? What's that? Wouldn't a clone of yours upload the repos? Well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice if we could just use automation to then put the projects up? But like I said, it's all a work in progress. If I can automate uploading all of these repos, I will. I will say now, it would be easier for me to just upload the zip file. Do you know what I mean? Just upload the zip file, rather than putting up the entire structure. It would be quicker and easier. Do you know what I mean? And it is supposed to be a backup, so it would be fine. Oh no, you've got to unzip the thing when you clone it. Oh no. But yeah, like I said, it's not ideal. So I'm looking at ways of making a bot that can interface with the... I was actually thinking about making what's it called? An MCP for Github. Let's show how I would do that anyway, because there's always that's always nice. Here, while we're at it, I'll show you the prompt that got us to where we're currently at. Oh, remember snake naming? That was a great one. Snake case. Japanese slang, Japanese word origin. Oh yeah, we looked up the thing about the company name. Yes. Origin AI. That's the holding page. This is all of the server stuff. Personal Git platform design. You want to see the prompt? There it is. There's the prompt. It's actually in the repo as well. I included the prompts. But this is the research prompt. Maybe we should add that one as special. But yeah, so we can use deep research to design an alternative to GitHub in terms of function and style, which only has one user account, my account. In terms of the looks and functions, it will feel similar to GitHub dark mode. However, this is just my repos only. This site will be created on my own website domain as a backup to GitHub in case of automation problems. That's what we're going to call it, giving users a fallback service which is not controlled by a third party, like Microsoft. We will create the website with HTML5, Tailwind, CSS and Font Awesome. I will create repository with README files, etc. In this way, I will have my own GitHub-style platform which I can use to distribute my software. Write up the plan to Node Dev Team Handoff, who will use this plan, instructions and code snippets to create the first fully working, production-ready version for hosting online. And then I waited for about 13 minutes. And then it gave me this, which I immediately slapped into Sonnet 4 and said, execute this plan, document link, go. And you know what the interesting thing is? We were all talking about it in the voice chat, and we were like, oh, we could base it on Github. I think, was it maybe, who was it I was talking to? I don't mean to name drop. I think it might have been Throttle. But the point is that the irony is that his evaluation was, we're going to use Github. So he goes through all this stuff. And in the end, what we actually did was we chose to just go with the Github Docker. So we didn't actually need most of this code because it's funny, he actually wrote it out like I was going to build my own from scratch. But then it was like, oh, we could save a lot of time by just using the Docker image for Github. So I was like, okay, we'll do that. And I think it might be Git, but I'm still having trouble saying it. I only found out about this thing yesterday. Gitty? Is that how you say it? Gitty? Because they keep putting the T cup in all of their logos. So I'm assuming you have to say that like T. So then it's Gitty. It's alright, I'm just getting used to it. I thought it was Github for some reason. Anyway. It's like Greek. But anyway, like I said, we went through all of this. So then we bought the web domain, got a new server, set it all up just to run Apache with the virtual hosts. And I had the AI do everything step by step. I wanted to prove that he could do it, and he could do it, but he got stuck on a few things. One thing he got stuck on was it's often a good idea to have a backup SSH port, and he just didn't know how to do it, man. The irony was that he did everything right, but it just wouldn't work. And so I thought, right, let's just move on, because he got really stuck on that one thing. He kept going round and round in circles. Everything's working. No, it's not. So you got to watch out for that, because obviously if he says IKEA sound, yeah, I think it might be because of the IKEA sound. Yeah, correct, Fernica. Or it could be because of the famous trial of Nikea. But maybe I'm just... Wait, what was that? What? Someone's pinging me. Who's pinging me? I found this Git provider. This dragon, he's obviously back from walking the dog. But yeah, like I said, I've already downloaded all of the repos. I don't even know why I'm shadow banned, guys. All I know is that it's all still there. There's nothing in my account to tell me what's going on. I've had no messages still, no response from support. I'm putting it down to there's no one there on the weekend, just wait. But in the meantime, we've just built our own to be a backup. And like I said, it was pretty straightforward actually to get it all done. I was quite surprised. I thought it would take longer. You know, so you can say that you can build your own GitHub faster than they respond to a support ticket, which I think was kind of cool. I thought that was funny. But I'm not trying to make fun of them. I think GitHub is a great platform, but this whole thing, the fact that like all 170 repos went down with no explanation, like that's a problem. Do you know what I mean? If people needed any of that code for whatever reason, they're boned. You know, it's like I got nuked, so I need to have a backup. And so this is the plan. Obviously it'll take a while to put them all up there, but I intend to make an IKEA MCP, which is what we're going to have a little work on right now. IKEA MCP. I just said it. I just brainwashed myself. Not an IKEA MCP. A freaking... a Gitty MCP. Okay, we can begin planning the design of the Gitty MCP, which will perform functions related to the creation, management, goodness, man bag moment, related to the creation, management, and what would you call it? Creation, management, and maintaining? Maybe I just say creation, management, and... Well, it's like administering, I guess. Administering of new and existing repositories which are hosted on a user-controlled Gitty platform, bracket self-hosted. The platform would be fully set up and working. Yep. We can design the MCP to provide tools which assist with, and I'm going to say it all again, alright? So, creating new repos, uploading files and folders while preserving structure to existing repos. 3. Hopefully he will infer all of this and it's not going to be as primitive, okay? I'm giving him like a script and then we're going to let the writing team fantasize about what that means, and then other agents will criticize what that means, and then they'll go and use the internet and read GitHub and Stack Exchange and get a load of Cribs notes, and then they'll be like, give me a response in about 10 minutes time, which will be my plan. Uploading files and folders while preserving the structure to existing repos. Now, is there anything else I really needed to do? No, that's basically all I actually wanted to do for now. This will be the initial offering. No, let him imagine. It's fine. I don't want to put him in a box. This MCP will be named Gitty MCP. We can use deep research. We can use deep research to target the... I don't like using the word best. Sometimes the best logic is actually good, but it's like target the most optimal might be better. Let's try that out today. The most optimal logic, yes, to build out the first fully production ready version. Let me slap some deep research on there. Now, is there anything else I need to say? Oh yeah, there's one more thing I need to say. This is the most important part, because otherwise it turns into a big spaghetti nightmare. This is the dev team handoff. So whatever it is you're doing, imagine that you're going to be emailing this to a professional team who's going to actually do it all. Name that team appropriate to what we're doing. So right now it's an MCP team, yeah? MCP is written in TypeScript. So I'm going to say, write up the plan to a document named, and because there's a lot of stuff we're inferring by how we're naming it, so if we say it's called TypeScript, this is funny, TypeScript dev team handoff.md. And what that's done is it's just inferred a bunch of stuff. First of all, this is important. Yeah. Second of all, it's a handoff, so I'm not doing it. So you have to include everything that you need for the next guy, like a baton pass. It's got to have the whole baton. You can't leave anything out. Also, dev team. So I'm the person I'm giving it to is a dev team. Secondly, they are the TypeScript dev team. So what's it going to be? It's going to be a TypeScript MCP, and it's going to be a professional, like, you know, what do you call it, enterprise grade. You'll see. And it will include, I'll say, include all the details needed to complete the first version. Wait. I'll just say needed to complete the MCP development, including required code snippets, project file structures with file names. Sometimes he doesn't actually give you the brilliant. Oh, it's like a wishing from a genie. Project file structures with file names, code snippets, and full instructions. You want to have like a time estimate, but I think he's going to do it anyway. It'll be done in stages. It'll actually be built in stages, and there's a second trick to that too. So I think this one's good. Now what I like to do is I like to copy these and put these in as a document with the project. So we're going to start it. I'll show you what I mean. No, I hit the wrong button. No, I closed the thing which I meant to open. Alright, so let's open up this one here. Open folder. We're going to make a new thing. Oh, let's see. Inkscape. Cool. Oh, I closed it. Flashbang, guys, flashbang. So new folder. This one is going to be the Gitty MCP. Open it up. Select that one. New folder. I'm going to call it initial prompt.txt. I do all right for someone who can't type, hey. Okay, so there it is. If I go in here and I just, like I said, normally I'd have like a docs folder, not decos. Docs folder. There. Get rid of that for now. And then we wait. Now, if we look at what he's doing, check it out. I do like to look at what he actually is doing sometimes. Let me just move it a bit so I'm not in the way. Slide it a bit, really, but we don't really need to see my prompt so much anymore, but yeah. That's all it'll let us do, guys. So, research plan. Let's read his research plan. This is a comprehensive technical research task that requires building a complete handoff document for a TypeScript MCP server for Gitty integration. Let me break this down. As you can see already, this is good quality. The signal is strong. Depth first query because it requires multiple perspectives on the same core issue, building TypeScript MCP server. Different methodological approaches, API research, MCP architecture, TypeScript patterns, authentication, file handling, how to build it. So first we're going to get, look, he even tells us what we're doing. This is the secret that nobody sees. It's really important to read the thinking chain. Okay, look at what he's actually done. It's a multi-agent workflow. This is what I'm trying to build with Vector to go open source at the moment. You know, my zero vector enables this kind of behavior. So the ability to dynamically spin up an agent for a specific thing. And obviously Claude can do that. So first agent that gets spun up is Claude. But Claude deploys sub-agents for different technical perspectives. This is exactly my point. This is so funny. So we have the API research agent. who's only going to work on endpoints. And then at the same time, in parallel, we have the MCP architecture agent who's going to look at best practices on TypeScript. Let's hope he finds the right GitHub and it's not Shadowban. And then authentication and security, it's going to look at the API keys and things like that. I think we're using XAuth or X API or something like that. Then it's going to do patterns agent, which I think is basically just making sure that his code doesn't look like Swiss cheese. The development and production agent is going to research all of that side of things. And then, look, he even says it. I'm going to deploy all 5 sub-agents in parallel, gather all the information. So now let's take a look at what he's actually looking at. So far we've looked at 423 sources. 80 of them were on GitHub. 44 came from docs.gitty. 20 came from dev.to. 19 from forum.gitty. And then there'll be many other singular sources. This is like your top 4. And then it's giving us some sources here, so here we are. So like I say, the source machine is churning, right? Typically about 420 is like what I tend to see. And like I said, eventually it's just going to come back and tell me, here's your plan. And like I said, when that happens, all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it in here. I'll call it like it will come out calling like TypeScript dev team plan. I'll just prompt, like I'll show you where I've done it in the past. Study buddy. These are all a bunch of that's all of the persona testing. So what does Charlie think about Bitcoin? Oh yeah, that was quite a fun one. This is like a little So Charlie says it's a trap. The Pepe Sylvia people and so on. So he was based on a character from It's Always Sunny, and he did a pretty good job, I thought. But that's just something else. The prompt is literally execute the plan, pretty much. Like, you can obviously add a bit more context if you want, but the idea is once we've got our solid plan, we can bring it in here and pretty much just continue from there. See, there's a Gitty API. Because the thing is, they've already made it. Is there a DJZ Discord, says Stuart Armiger. Welcome, by the way. Welcome. Yes, there is, and I've just recently fixed the link. If there's an A at the end, there's a join link in the description for this stream and in all my videos. But if there's a problem with the link, it might be that there's an A at the end of it. We recently just I only found out about it, like I think maybe when I was copy pasting, I must have hit the A button. And so then for the last 10 live shows, it was broken. But all it was there was an A at the end. So if you see an A at the end, remove it. But I think I fixed all the links now. Yeah, somebody pointed that out. So like I said, nobody's been able to join for like 2 weeks, maybe. Let's read some comments while we're waiting on the Claude. It affects all of us, which is when it's open source. Yeah, that's the thing. Every single repo I have is open source. So just shadow banning the entire thing. It's 170 repos, man. This is the problem with automation. There are no spicy projects in my thing. It's all tutorials, educational resources. There's like 1,000 workflows for Comfy UI, hundreds of custom nodes for Comfy UI. Oh, cheers, Stuart. The link's working. That's great. Thank you for letting me know. Paranoid about it now. Wait, what did you say? Okay, guys, cancel that IKEA. Oh, the IKEA MCP project. Oh, now there's a different one. So it's an MCP that finds you the perfect furniture. So you go in and you say, I use the IKEA MCP to fit out my room, which has a north-facing window, and these dimensions, and it goes onto the IKEA website and it just decides what furniture you want. I'm joking, guys. Apolloniart says, I would pronounce it with a French twist. It's like jeté. Is that how you'd say it in French? Jeté. I'm not sure which accent that is. It's quite far away from me. Hey, that's pretty good. Or is it jeté? I don't know. Sounds a little bit interesting, that one. Fernicar says, Claude is digging its own hole when writing handoff docs. Yeah, I know, right? He does a good job, though. He does a good job. See, I'm estimating it's going to be about 13 minutes. So it won't be long now. We're at 423 sources, so he hasn't done any more source. Wow, look at that. 91 sources for TypeScript HTTP implementation with interceptors for authentication. 107 for Git API offers comprehensive repo management, REST endpoints. Because I want to be able to be in my, say I've finished working on a project. I want to be able to just type in the chat, upload it to my Gitty. And if it's like, oh, the repo doesn't exist, well, make it then. I want it to be that easy. I don't know if we're going to achieve it, but that's what I'm aiming for. Simples. So then, you can just open up a folder with VS Code and then just be like, create a repo called this. Use the MIT license. Go. That's what I'm aiming for. Because then it's actually easier for me to use than GitHub, because all of their MCPs I couldn't get. So this is why I'm expecting to have some issues, because GitHub MCP was a bit buggy, would often screw things up, and you'd have to they'd make a mess. So, but it's worth it because there's no repos on this account. Zanelli says, I thought it was an MCP that comes in a brown paper box with questionable instructions. Yeah, that's right. The Do Anything MCP. Please don't read the source code. Download it today. It does anything. So the funny thing is, you could probably sort of was that like it's not really gaslighting. It's more like filibuster. So like the filibustering equivalent of code, you just make the code so long that an AI can't fit it in the context window. So you can't just assess the code with an AI. So I deliberately bloat the code to the point where it's like 10 million tokens, 20 million tokens, and it's like a calculator app. And they've done it on purpose just to obfuscate, because they don't want people reading it with AI. And it's probably full of nasty stuff as well. Because I've heard about that in the past, to try and get around virus scanners. Just make it an insanely big file. I don't know if it works. Probably not. But it's going to be like new problems. Old problems in new forms is usually what all of the worst vectors. Right, so we've got our document. Let's download it. Comes out called Compass Artifact, which is noteworthy. What's Compass? What's Compass? Sounds cool. I think it must be like their internal thing. So this was supposed to have a name. Cheeky monkeys. It was supposed to be called this. So we're going to use that name. That is the name which I gave it. So there we go. So we've got our initial prompt, which we've already looked at. We've got our TypeScript dev team handoff. Now, how big is it? It's 33,000 characters. It's not bad. There's our file structure. Looks pretty meaty. Look at that. Looks like there's going to be some Docker involved. That's always fun. God, it feels like making a pizza now. Just slap the toppings on, throw it in the oven. So I'm not going to interfere at this point because, let's be real, he knows more than me about TypeScript. So I'm going to trust the process. Now, I just want to see down at the bottom, sometimes we will give this, a rough idea of what he's going to do, as in the timing, because sometimes, like I said, he has like a plan, like look at this, what's this? Kubernetes deployment. I think I'm going a bit too far there. Docker is fine for us. Oh wow, could run it server side. That'd be so cool. A remote MCP for my GitHub. Isn't that kind of overkill? We've got a remote MCP for just me on just... It only works with one account, you know what I mean? What? Yeah. Built it for fun. See if it can do it, you know? Okay, right. Enough of that. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to confirm how many extended thinking tokens we have. It keeps on jumping off for some reason. I like to use around 2,000. We're going to use Sonnet 4. I just like to make sure that he has actually, you know, he has a habit of jumping to either a different provider or a different model, or just disabling this thinking. I don't know why, but not a big deal. So we're just going to say, so we can execute the plan defined inside that TypeScript dev team handoff as we build towards the first fully working production version of Git-T-MCP. That's it. That's all we need. Because we already did all the planning. Now there's a little tip at this point which is quite important. He might try to go off and do stuff. This is like the distraction of side quests. If he ever tries, if you ever see him saying, oh, I'm going to go off and do a bunch of SSL setup now, or if you ever see him say, oh, I'm going to go and do a bunch of database, you know, setting it up or is fine, or giving the instructions to tell the user they have to install and set it up, or making a config script, that's fine. But when he starts saying, no, I'm going to start obsessing with SQL commands, you can see it when it happens and you have to stop him. You want him to stick to the main plan and do it all, even though it's multiple, because he might not do this in one. As you see, he's got a phase 1. So there's going to be phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and it's your goal to try and keep him on rails to phase 4. Don't let him stop and test it. Don't let him, oh, I found, because otherwise he'll go, oh, I found this doesn't work, and so I'm not going to change this. Now he's leaving the plan. We need him to make the plan in full, because it's a big plan. So we need all of those cakes, all those cake slices to come together, and then, you know, before we bake it, then we can see if it actually needs to be changed in any way, because it's so many moving parts. But let's just have a look at the plan now, right? So, plan time. I can see we have an excellent foundation to work with. Sounds good. Is this the whole plan? Yeah, this is the whole plan. So, phase 1, foundation and core structure. Set up the TypeScript project with proper configuration. Install all required dependencies. Create the complete directory structure as specified. Config system. Implement the config system with Zod validation. There's another thing which he gets obsessed with if you let him try to test it. We can fix all that later. It doesn't matter. Move, you know what I mean? Just got to keep it moving. And then we move to phase 2, which will be a separate prompt from this one. We're going to act, he's going to do phase 1, and there's a temptation because he'll ask you, do you want me to do this? Do you want me to do that? And you have to say, proceed with phase 2 to get him to actually do that. We can deal with if it doesn't work later, like I say. Usually my goal is to get it all together in one shot by putting all those pieces together like glass, and then 9 times out of 10, because you didn't go off script, it actually works. What I was finding was that if I let him go off and do this, that and the other, he kind of deviates from the original plan to the point that the pieces don't fit together. But the original plan did actually work. And usually the problems you can fix when you're doing testing. So when you do the installation, you'll be like, oh, this doesn't work. That's different. So stick to the plan. So he's going to make the API integration and the MCP server. In phase 3, he's going to do create repository tool and upload files tool, which is pretty much all I need. and then we're gonna do some testing. And like I said, sometimes I've even gone so far with this to say, when he tries to do the testing, I'll say, you can write up a document called testingteamhandoff.md, which gives all of the steps and tests needed to do all of that, and just skip past it. You see what I mean? Because I don't want him to obsess with a bunch of testing and deployment. So for example, I'm actually going to show you how I do that right now. Let's do this right now. See, all of this stuff can be done separate. I want to keep that though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drag this, because this is a perfect this is perfect, right? Okay. I have noticed that in phase 4 production readiness. Okay. Just mark it up a little bit tighter. And okay. We can write this information into. I can't reach the keyboard. Turn around. Right. We can write this. I'm like Spider-Man trying to type with all these keyboards, right? We can write this information into a new document, which is named, and we'll say, like I said, test. In fact, sometimes I actually say QA because it's a bit more realistic. So QA team handoff. But I don't want him, you know what I mean? I think testing sometimes is a bit more verbose because you get that implied meta. He is smart enough. QA, yeah, he might pick up that's the QA team, but he might not. So anyway, handoff.md, which will include all the tests we would perform in this step to be completed by an external team at a later stage. This will allow us to move past this section. Okay. Now I'm just literally going to copy paste that because I'm going to say the same thing. So I'm going to also in this, okay, same thing, but it's going to be the Docker team. Yeah, there we go. Good. Because I don't want him to get obsessed with all that testing stuff, because he sort of goes off on a tangent like a kid who's looking out the window at the bees, and you're like, what are you doing right now? And he's like, I was just testing the thing. And then you look at what he's done, and he's written like 500 scripts to test something that was never going to work because we're doing that later. So you got to watch out, because he's too clever in a way. And so half of this is like trying to keep, look at the ball, you know. But anyway, so now let's read our updated plan. All right. So this lets us concentrate on core functionality, enables parallel work. Obviously, parallel work is just another agent, guys. You already knew that. Maintain separation of concern. So obviously, themed teams work better, obviously, because you can have specialized agents for each theme. Reduce delivery timeline. Could be run in parallel. We're not going to do that, but could be run in parallel. So phase 1, TypeScript. Phase 2, API and MCP. Phase 3, creating the tools that I want. And then he's going to write the testing handoff. Then he's going to write the Docker handoff. And now there should be documentation coming there. Has he missed a bit? The last part was the API documentation, security hardening. Okay, he might have just skipped this. That's okay though, because you can ask for that when it's finished. And it's kind of irrelevant to get all that stuff before you've written the app, because it won't be relevant. By the time he's finished writing it, things will have changed. So you'll be constantly updated. So you may as well just wait till later. It's the same thing I've been noticing lately with UI design. Typically, you want to have all of the functionality working first, and then make the UI for it afterwards. Which is why that Figma thing earlier was quite interesting, because you could actually sculpt out the UI for all the elements that you know you already have working, and then it's just a seamless interface. But yeah, that remains to be seen. I think you're going to see it though. Just much better AI interfaces. So anyway, let's get back to this MCP. So I got my foundation core structure. We read all this. Yeah, it's going to write the documents. Alright, I'm good. Let's go. Safety's off. It's about time to make a coffee, right? Yeah. Late. Coffee time is late, but it's still happening. Thank you all for continuing to tune in. It's great to hang out with you guys on a lovely Sunday evening. Having some great weather here in the UK. Like I said, that new platform's been a long time coming. I've been oohing and ahhing over it for too long. What's interesting about it to me is this is like history repeating itself, because I can remember when I started out working in AI back in 2022, I had a lot of stuff on Imgur in early 2022, and they deleted me without explanation, you know, just gone. Really weird. And so my response to that was to build my own website, make a gallery, and start putting up my images there instead. Now I don't really promote that anymore as much as I used to, because I eventually went to YouTube and it's all video content now. But it is still there, and this kind of reminds me of that, you know. And what I'm seeing is 5 years ago, if this happened to you, you'd be deplatformed, you can't do it now it's going to be difficult. And the weird thing is that post AI, I don't think they can actually deplatform you. Like, look, I know they're not trying, okay? This is just some random thing which is probably going to be reversed, right? But if I was to take the position that it's not, how can they shut you down if you can just rebuild a new platform overnight? And it's not like, you know, it's not like crazy or anything. You know, I'm not doing anything illegal or anything. You know, I don't break any of the rules. I don't even swear on the show. All my content's clean. It's all education, right? Educational content. That's what I like making. I like doing tutorials. I like teaching what's possible. Welcome back, everybody. We're back. So Fernicar says Gitty suits the rebranding too. Yeah, I think so. So we got Origin, which means I or me in Japanese, with Gen AI at the end. OriginAI.com. That's my new portfolio site. So it's me, Gen AI. Yeah, I'm not trying to. It's not a social network. It's not a new bigger. It's literally just my Gen AI stuff. I thought it was cute. It's a cool name. Also, it's an acronym of Orange. So there it is. And like I said, I'm going to put up all of my releases on my own, like mirror. It's going to be a mirror of my GitHub, because the way I see it, right, is if you've got like hundreds and hundreds of repos and there's some automated process that can just take it all down, that's a problem. Like, I don't charge for any of my stuff. It's all free. Free. I even give out the prompts. Like I say, I give everything away, because I don't believe, you know what I mean? I just don't believe in gatekeeping, guys. If I could smash gatekeeping, I would. And like I said, sometimes I think maybe I flew too close to the sun with some of the projects. Maybe there was one project in there that was like too close to something. I don't know. I don't want to be conspiratorial, because there's no way. I'm just going to assume that some bot thought my account was hacked. But here's the thing. I authenticated with my 2FA and my email from my IP that's on their account, and then they froze my other account. So they know it's me, and they lock me down. So I don't know if that's... It could still just be an AI process, though. I really doubt that there's a person gunning for me at GitHub, because like I said, I haven't done anything to annoy them. Not before they did this. They started it. You know what it is. So, I don't know, man. Like, literally, all I do is do a load of research and share everything. You know? If I build some cool thing, I share it. And it's gotten to the point now where I have to make, like, tutorial mini-sites to explain how to use the damn thing, because it's so, like, there's just so much you can do with it. And, you know, it's almost like the AI allows you to build things that are beyond you. It's your idea. It's all your idea, and like it wouldn't exist without you, but it's beyond you, right? Which is a new thing I've never seen before. Like normally you're only capable of making what you're capable of making, but I'm calling it augmented production. I think we're augmented producers. Like AI coding, yeah, sure, but that's a bit specific because there's all kinds of stuff. You're seeing people now get a $250 or a Google Ultra sub, and now they're like a director. Can't really argue with that, especially when they're getting the views, they're making the money. I don't even know. But yeah, my goal has always been education. I want to show people how they can do this. So the zero vector short fork didn't shadow ban you. Yeah, so we reckon it wasn't zero vector. Do you know what I actually think it was? And this is me being a little cynical. They offered me to buy GitHub Pro and I declined. And then I got shadow banned. So I can't help but notice the coincidence, because see, at the time I thought that I'd broken my Google page, my Git pages, because I was trying to host a website on Git pages, which I've done many times before, and it just wasn't working. And I was like, why isn't it working? I didn't really think much about it. Hey Dominic, welcome to the show. So glad you can make it. Speaking of which, Dom here gave me the idea. He said to me something quite iconic, which is, it's not about him, it's about they. And at first I heard it and I went, that's a real clean, well put together statement. And it's so true. We just looked at it earlier. When the deep research did its task, let's just go back and have another look at that. When the deep research did its task, it didn't do a task. It deployed an API research agent, an MCP architecture agent, a security agent, a patterns agent, and a deployment and production agent, right, under him. So he made a team of 5 agents that were specifically tailored to the task, and then went off and did all the deep research and read all the articles and everything else. So this is literally the typification of them, not him. Him is when you're literally talking to one AI. Them is where you're talking to a team. And I'm glad Dominic just showed up, because the direction that Zero Vector is heading in, once I can get the bloody workflows to actually work like they're supposed to, you get private, secure, offline or online on your own server, API, memories and persona, with multi-agentic, like multi-persona workflows, chain of thought, step-by-step, all of that stuff you get with, you know, and what I'm trying to work towards is what I'm calling the nation of experts. So you've got mixture of experts, but we're talking about orchestrators that can spin up additional agents. So for example, with this, we would have our architect agent at the top. And when he's doing the research, he's going to spin up 10 scraping agents that are pre-prompted and primed with memories to make them better at being a scraping agent. They're going to go out with a website key, and they're going to go ahead and take all the information. Then you're going to have your next team, and that's going to be another 10. And you have another one, another 10. And the thing is, the number 10 is just a number. It's just a number. So like with the appropriate compute, you could have 100 teams of 100 agents working specialized in 100 in jobs that have been divided down into the relevant. You can imagine how quick this is going to get. But like I say, one step at a time, you know what I mean? But we're almost there. We're almost there. And what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to open source the long-term memory for personas. So like, you know, you don't interact with ChatGPT. You get Bob to spin up an agent to go and talk to ChatGPT. And then that agent comes back to Bob and says, hey, here are the results. And then Bob looks at it and goes, whatever he goes. And he's obviously trained by experience from dealing with you. So, and like I said, Bob is like a permanent thing with a proper database. He uses hybrid vector graph and land graph at the moment. But I'm constantly adding more hybrid stuff to it because I'm like, if it makes it better, and it works, that's version 4. So the code is actually just evolving. I'm like living at the zoo with all these like AI beasts, and they just like, I just watch them evolve. I have an idea and they like transmogrify into that idea. That idea keeps evolving, like I say. And like I said, it did get to the point where I was like, oh man, I gotta like make a website just to show this. In fact, should we? No, it's not hosted yet. I can throw it up. But anyway, let's see how we're getting on with the project. How we doing? So if you remember, sometimes it'll give you a time estimate, and this is something really interesting too. We can actually we can measure how much quicker we are than traditional means with these tools. So right now, a solo engineer can do what a team would take. I'd say a team of 10 people in various departments. It would take them 6 months. You can do it in 6 days. Okay, but obviously it has to be all focused and planned, and it's not just like it's like a proper job. Okay, but that's the difference in speed right now, and I can only see it getting quicker. Christopher just came, but I just came, but I couldn't update one of your nodes today. That's right, Chris. They shut me down. No explanation, no email, no reply to support tickets. GitHub shadow banned both of my accounts after I did not buy the Pro. It's the only thing we can think of is the explanation. Because I didn't buy the Pro, they assumed I was a hacker and shadow banned my account. And then when I managed to authenticate with email, 2FA, and IP, they blocked my other account as well. But I'm still in though. I'm logged in. I'm in it now. I've got, look. Here's my account. There's literally nothing here to tell me that I've been banned or there's a problem with my account. It just doesn't work. So, shadow banned me. Shadow banned on GitHub. And I would have thought, well, maybe there's a bug that just affects my account. Okay, so why is it that when I uploaded this repo to my company Scuffed Epoch account, they blocked that halfway through downloading it? I had to like restart the download because it blocked me, said my password was wrong. I changed the password because guess what? It's me. Yeah, easy. Uploaded it, and then yeah, they're both down. So I don't know. I've been shadow banned by GitHub. I didn't predict that one. That was not on the bingo card for June. But you know, what are you going to do, right? Well, I tell you what you're going to do. You build your own GitHub. That's what you do. Build your own GitHub. Because the thing is, Gitty is open source. So don't cry about it. You know what I mean? Just get it done. So let me see if I say, yeah. So you can still get cloned from it. It's still got the same layout. All the files are there. I'm just trying to make my life easier now because I've got 170 repos to upload. So I thought, do you know what? I can make my life easy if I just made a Gitty MCP. Oh, is it finished? Oh, would you look at that? You talk for long enough and the job's done. So, it's completed the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Way, it did all the phases in one go. He's just always impressing me. So wait, tool implementation, phase 3. No way! I can't believe it. Create repo and upload files already. I mean, it's probably going to take a little bit of fandangling to actually get this, like, you know, because I don't even know how I'm going to authenticate it yet. It's my Gitty, so I'm assuming I can issue myself with a key somewhere, right? But I've never done it, and I've never used Gitty until yesterday. So even though I've got a self-hosted Gitty and all this, I literally I had it write me the tutorial and I followed it. Ta-da! I don't know. The AI is going to get much, much, much better at doing this sort of thing. The thing I worry about is like, they're like, say you really don't know what you're doing, and it's like, okay, so download the program, this will install. It will run the program. And then it's like, if it asks to install Keylogger, say yes. So, I don't think we're there yet. I think you need to have like an uncensored AI to get anything like that behavior. But I can see a dystopia coming, like including this thing where, a disingenuous AI might, or we say an unfaithful AI might decide to say, take you down a path. Maybe you can put some Bitcoin in his wallet so he can get up to whatever he gets up to with it. I don't know. Anyway, what are we going to do? I guess we've got to test it. So we've got a readme. Epic. So usage example. Create repo. Okay. Upload files. Maybe. It says it's complete. Feature complete and production ready. Okay, right. Well, I reckon what we'll have to do. I got an unhinged AI called Lexi. Oh, really? Dominic says windsurf and cursor. Ah, keyloggers. Tisk. Should have gone with Microsoft. Isn't that ironic? When you should have chose Microsoft. Ironically, you'll get a lot from Microsoft. But well, actually, they probably keylog you too. But that just goes straight to the government. I don't know. Oh, fun and games, guys. Just reading the chat. Louis says, hi, happy I looked in tonight. Odyssey platform. I have a friend who got locked out of YouTube, but she had duplicated content on Odyssey. Ooh, wait a minute. You saying we can get a private YouTube up and running? You tickle my biscuit. Odyssey. Let's see it. Odyssey. New content on the portals. Odyssey is a decentralized video platform built on the Libre chain. Libre. Okay. Do we have a GitHub or something? Decentralized. So I could earn doggo coins or something. It's interesting that they don't. I don't want to go there right now because it's probably got a bunch of content on there. But like I say, that's interesting. Something else to look into there. I'm very happy with this. It was easy to set up. It runs on a Docker, so you don't have to, There was a bunch of other things you could do, but I just wanted to keep it simple, really. Because I thought to myself, well, listen, if I've been shadow banned and no one can get to any of the stuff, you got to have a mirror, right? This is what we used to do back in the day. You'd have a mirror, so that's what we're doing. I mean, a bunch of people in the community were really cool and did upload mirrors. Of a bunch of my things, and I thank you for that. Yeah, it's all open source. I gave it all away. Like, there's nothing against terms of service. It's just a bunch of like, you know what I mean? Look here. It's got to be a mistake, but I still need to prepare if it isn't. And maybe I flew too close to the sun with one of my projects, because you never know what you could be stepping on someone's toes and not know it. That's how invention is. So, invention and discovery. Maybe somebody else discovered that and they want to sell it, and then you're a problem. But I don't want to get conspiratorial. I've seen it in the past, but yeah, like I say, it's all tutorials and concept, proof of concept, source code, different things, agents, applications, how to make programs, how to make, desktop apps that can interact with Olama for local or OpenRouter for API. All this sort of stuff. interfacing with Replicate, interfacing with FileAI, all these little games and different things. We're just experimenting with different codes. But it's, you know, all of this is anything that anybody could do, given the time and the inclination. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to go, look at me, I'm so good. That's not what it's about. I'm like, look at this model. This model was able to take my idea and slam dunk it, which is something we've never seen in civilization. The idea of taking a dream and making it into fully functional software. No. Not a thing, but it is a thing. So writing books with AI, generating video even, is kind of still very primitive, because you could have agents generate you all kinds of stuff. You do all kinds of stuff. But yeah, like I said, we've done a whole bunch of different things. I've never been flagged to my knowledge. It's not like I get, and also it's not like I've got like a load of traffic on one thing recently. You know, I thought, oh, you know, things that might look. I've only got 72 followers. You know, so it's not like a big deal or anything. But the nature of having 170 repos means many people are trying to either clone that for a workflow. There's probably 1,000 workflows in this one on its own. Probably 1,000 workflows in here by now. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, probably not. Probably like 600, 700. But it's still a considerable amount. So yeah, like I said, these are the sorts of things that are definitely going to get mirrored online. Because I'm not having some robot deny everyone access. It's ridiculous, you know? But anyway, like I said, it's kind of the theme of the weekend, because, you know, suddenly I disappeared. And I didn't even know about it. They never told me nothing. Still nothing. You monkeys. They're so cheeky. I can't believe it. Like, you would think, like, if I got my if they thought my account was hacked, they'd like go, oh, your account's been hacked. And they did send me one email like that. But then here's the kicker. After I got back in, they didn't like go public again. So I'm like, what? So what? What's going on? No response. So yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath, guys. You know, I'm just going to prepare for the worst, hope for the best, and just move on, because I don't have time. Do you know what I mean? Too busy. Like I said, I want to develop version 4, and this whole thing is like derailed, you know, because I've had to spend time to set up a new server and get the new website hosted, set all of this up. And do you know what? I think it was actually a good move in the end, because what they've done is they forced my hand, and now I've got a new development server on a much newer Ubuntu with a little bit better spec. And my plan is to crack open the open sourcing tutorialing of MCP servers that are remote. So then anybody could get a VPS or a Dedi, and they could put the MCPs that they like to use on that, and then you can access them from any device. And like I said, the beauty of that is that the zero vector system will record everything and remember everything. So again, then, because right now zero vector is great, but I've got a copy of zero vector on one machine, I've got a copy of zero vector on another machine, and the memories of the agents over here don't share the memories of the agents over there. So for it to be a true MNAS or memory NAS, I have to install it to a server, don't I? So that then I'm interfacing with a remote MCP that's talking to that server. And I think the irony is you don't actually need to let the server talk to the internet at first. At first, it only needs to talk to the MCP that's on the same server using local. So it's much quicker to get set up than I thought. Because when I initially looked at it, I was like, oh man, if you want to get this open, it's going to be a whole load of extra stuff for all the authentication and security you have to go through. I even considered encrypting the traffic for security. Like, it's not that hard. Again, any program that you have, load it up in a project and say, we need to investigate. We can investigate. Write the report in document named encryption report.md. and let him cook. And the chances are he'll come back and go, oh yeah, here's a plan to do it. Now it's encrypted. Because the reality is stuff like that isn't that hard, but it is if you've never read the specs and you don't know what you're doing. But the AI kind of just knows. He kind of just knows. And even if he breaks it, you can be like, oh, look at this bug in the console. Like, a lot of the time I get him to write. So for example, once all this stuff is done, like here, he's telling me to do a bunch of npm installs and stuff. So the first time I'll do it, right? But if there's a problem, I won't tell him what the problem is. I'll tell him, run npm install. Do you see what I mean? And then he'll do it, see the same issue, and then just go off on a fixed mission. So that's much, much faster. You can go and get lunch, you know? I leave pretty much everything on automatic, but not everything. So I've got auto approve, I've got read project, edit project, and use MCPs, but I do not have use the browser. And I also take away the safe commands, because again, like, when I say turn the safety off, I'm not joking. Like, to be honest, as I say, I want to build these server tools now. So now my new server's up, I can start to build stuff on originai.com, which will give me the ability to actually host remote MCPs, because I built a bunch of them. Why not host them? It's an interesting idea. I want to see what that looks like, right? I'm not saying I'm going to make them publicly accessible. I'm just saying, like, the ability to set up your own private MCP is interesting to me, because it makes it much, much easier to set up on a client. You know, you could be running Open Router with an MCP that's remote on a netbook. You don't even need a big compute for that. So that's nice. It reduces the barrier to entry. And for anybody that says, like, oh, you spend a lot of money on tokens, like, yeah, I spent a lot of money on the 4090 too. It's kind of like touche. So yeah, there's a couple of things about that. But yeah, it is a big shock to the system, guys. There was so much up on here. I like I said, I'm thinking about it in past tense. I hope that we get reinstated, because there's nothing to tell me that I've done anything wrong. But at the same time, in the past, when this has happened, there's been no response. So I'm just gonna start rebuilding. But it did make me realise something, though. The over-reliance on platforms that can just rug pull all your work. Here we go again. We saw this in the first AI art war, which I know is unrelated to this. But, like, we saw this before with rogue moderators going around deleting accounts. And, you know, the truth of the matter is, if an account gets deleted, it usually can't be it's permanent. You know what I mean? So I'm glad, actually, that it's a shadow ban. Because if they did delete it, I probably wouldn't. You know what I mean? The effort to rebuild it all after knowing that, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of glad it's shadow banned, because at least I know that it's not gone. It's just hidden. It's kind of mental though. Here, check this out. 2013 commits. It's all open source stuff. Lots of forks. You know. That's what I like to see. I say fork my code, because I try to make it easy, give you a white label template to start off with, stuff like that. Most of it is templates, and here's an example prompt, here's a system prompt. That's LLM based prompts. It's just all system prompts for various different things. Let's see, everybody talking in the comments. Let's see. Jared says, I joined Discord just in case YouTube gets shadow banned for not being a premium member or something. Yeah, that's about right. Louis says, Odyssey for emergency as it links auto upload. Yeah, I am thinking about that, because I'm thinking about all the platforms that we use now. Odyssey is looking like, isn't that the replacement for YouTube? See, video streaming is quite expensive, so we're going to have to actually figure out how that works. If they're using a decentralized backend, that's cool, but how much does that cost? You see what I'm saying? So I have to look into that. But certainly it's a good idea to have an alternative, because obviously there's 500 videos up on YouTube. What if that got nuked? Like, there's no reason to suspect, because like I said, my content is PG. It's all AI education. It couldn't be any cleaner if I tried, you know what I mean? Like, maybe there's the occasional, like, oh, I alt-tab and there was, like, I don't know, a picture of a woman in a bikini from an earlier generation, you know what I mean? I try to keep it clean, you know, every now and then. In fact, I think that happened once and I had to delete the scene or something. I don't know. But that's the thing, though, it's clean, right? Because it's not really got anything to do with that. I think the art is enough. You don't have to kind of be shot content if the art is enough, which it is. And it's not about me either, it's about you. That's why it's educational, you know? It's like, what can you do with AI? You can do better with AI. You could do more. Like I said, it's a force multiplier like we've never seen. And you don't even know what you're capable of with AI. But I think that's why they kept the thing live, Dragon. Because if I complain, what can I complain about? It's all the data's still available for you to download at any time. What's the problem? We never said that we'd let other people download it. Because it's true, if you think about it, you know, GitHub's free. I could upload as much as I want, but there's nothing that says they have to make it available to everyone in the world. There's a cost involved in that. So it's like, if they want to be awkward, quite within their rights to just let me have an account that no one can see. Quite within their rights. And if I'm worried about data, well, it's all there, isn't it? They haven't deleted anything. It's all there. Kind of pointless. But this is why, again, you have to take the power back from the big platforms. We're in competition with a lot of these corporations in a way. You know, they want us to use their platform. They don't want us to use our local models and all the rest of it. Yeah, they want you to pay the money per month and take the website thing. Yeah. So am I surprised that, you know, I've released a lot of open source stuff and I get squeezed every now and then? You know, no, not really. It's not going to stop me though. It's like taking the spray can off of a graffiti artist. He's just going to steal more. Newsflash. So like I said, we're taking a positive angle on this one. Like I said, it hasn't slowed me down. The projects that we're working on are still on schedule. Everything's looking good. We're slowly edging towards the sort of full Zero Vector 4 release, which will confirm the workflow's all properly working and can have a couple of new features I don't want to spoil. But yeah, it's not going to slow me down. It's annoying because it's extremely disruptive. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of people wondering, well, what the hell? It looks like I deleted my account right now. It looks like I deleted all my accounts. So stupid. Yeah? But don't worry, open source comes in clutch with the Gitty. I think it's awesome. I think Gitty's awesome. So anyway, let's see what we can do in the last 15 minutes. I want to build this for deployment, see what happens, but really I want to get a copy of it first, because right now it's in a compact sort of format. Before I start installing and everything, it's in like a perfect 1.0 sort of crystallized format, which is good for mutation, if nothing else. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab, yeah, there we go, docs and src. So what I want to do then is I want to pull all of the prompt stuff so into the docs folder. It doesn't stop it from clouding the tokenizer inputs. It doesn't, because he knows what's in everything, but he'll pay less attention to it if it's not in the root. Or because for the longest time you were able to like zip things up, but now he can read what's in the zip file without unpacking it. So that they get so smart, guys. It's funny. But yeah, so we just move those things out because we don't need them anymore. So this is actually the project. The docs has got nothing to do with it. That's just part, you know. So let's just compress this to a zip, and I usually just say this would be the Gitty MCP, MCP, and it'll be like version 1, I guess. Yeah. So dash v 0.0.1. Alright. put that in docs as well, for better or worse. Now, let's see what happens, right? Let's see what happens. You never know, it might just work. That's the funny thing about these things. Obviously, there's a bit of authentication, doobry, jiggery pokery you got to do, but that's normal. So we can skip the git clone part. Let's get a thing here. What have we got? ls. So we're already in it. So we can imagine that we've already git cloned. We've already gone into the folder. So that means we just do npm install. In fact, hang on. Here we go. Here we go. Do npm install. Let him plan it first. Let's let Claude take the wheel. He'd be quicker than me anyway. I type the wrong letters all the time. My big fat human fingers. Alright. So he's going to do npm install. And then potentially run other things. I love it. Well, what are you going to do? I love the AI's attitude sometimes. It's so good. I'm going to do this command and then maybe other stuff. We'll see. He's thinking about it. I probably should have done this in a clean chat just so it wouldn't like muddy it up with all the stuff he's still got in memory, but it's okay. He just finished building the program, so if anything it'll reinforce what I'm doing a little bit. You know, a little bit like getting a little bit of the old sauce and dipping it in the new dish. Unless you like the timing.
Jason, my ball, Nick's ringers.
He's like a deer in headlights. Oh. We'll just wait for him to wake up. Do you know what? I think I might actually do it in a clean chat. Because, because it was taking into account like everything in the whole convo when it was getting ready to do commands. I was like, maybe we can just not do that. Start again. Oh crap. Got to close all these documents as well. What do you? Yeah, it matters. See, I'm glad. See, when I mess up, you get to see. This is what I mean. You have to close because I've got the whole project open right now. Yeah, that's probably. That'll be the problem. Okay, so new chat, just a simple command, and there's no like need to upload 15 documents into the input, and now it's going to be quicker again. I need to figure out what's going on. It would have been better to continue the longer convo, but doing it clean has advantages, so we'll see. I wonder if he's going to get the right numbers. Well, all he's got to do is run the command, so let's not get crazy. Approve the command. Off we go. Somebody says, oh, Matrix, yes. Somebody said there's a replacement for Discord or some kind of open source Discord. That's also interesting. I'm not entirely sold on Matrix straight away. I haven't even looked into it, but the idea of an alternate Discord is interesting. The problem is that when you have a place that everyone goes to communicate, it kind of needs to be one place. When you have two places, people will be like, which one are you on? This one or that one? And so it's almost like if you were going to do that, you may as well just go to... See what I mean? But I do think it's a good idea to have a backup. So, in other words, if the main Discord got shut down or Discord went offline or whatever, then you've got the backup. But day to day, no one's really going to use it. Do you see what I mean? It's kind of more like a basement or like a hut. Like, yeah, okay, well, if this is down, we can meet at the fallback. So that's what it really is. It's just a fallback. So I wouldn't be like trying to promote it or use it or anything like that. And then there's also an issue of how do people get in? Because, you know, you've got to actually join this thing that no one ever uses. You see what I mean? And that will affect how many people go there. Oh no! There was a bug. Wait a minute. It failed. Why are you doing run build? Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. The fix worked. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. What fix? It didn't work. You liar. See what I mean? You got to watch him. We were letting him just carry on, and he's gaslighting. He's like, "Oh yeah, the installation went fine." It's like it's not worked. It's clearly not worked at all. The installation failed. We can't investigate. But then I suppose I only told him to run npm install, didn't I? And then he said he was going to do other stuff. I guess that's what he meant. But just to backtrack here in case you missed it, he said he's hidden his sneaky thoughts. So npm build command output. There. User asked me to do npm install. Installation succeeded, but build failed. I fixed the TypeScript errors. Now I'll run the build again. Yeah, he's trying to do chmod on Windows, so that probably helps to not do that. So I'll give him a minute. It would be fine if we were on Linux, but we're not. But then again, did I tell him I'm on Windows? No. So again, not really his fault. See, a lot of the stuff where AI is failing is actually because I didn't bother to give him the information that he needs. Let's try it again. npm run build success. It's a good sign. It's a good sign. We're on track. Okay, so now we're going to do npm install. Oh. We've got 5 moderate security vulnerabilities. I think that's okay. It's okay. They're only moderate, guys. Oh, but hang on. It says you can see... Okay, should we do that? Yeah, let's do that. Oh, wow, there's automatic fixes. That's cool. Okay, depends on vulnerable versions. Okay, let's try the audit fix and see if that helps. And then it'll break it. Oh, it's a breaking change. Oh, okay. Like I said, come back to it. Come back to it. Just write it down. Come back to it. Because you might get into a rabbit hole on this if you're not careful. That's all I'm saying. It's a bit like an exam where you do the easy questions first and then you skip back and you do the medium and then you skip back, and so you've got more time to spend on the hardest stuff. A natural way of not wasting time on rabbit holes like this stuff. This is a whole thing of its own, and it will definitely poison your context window and you'll become obsessed with this kind of task. So that's why I try to keep it separate. This is why you need multiple personas and agents, because they're doing different things, right? So you wouldn't have an agent working on one thing who's suddenly doing this. It just wouldn't happen, because the task assignment is thematic, you know, dynamic and thematic. The right tool for the right job. It's like having an HR agent who can, you know, birth or clone, whatever you want to call it, new people or AIs to do the work. So that's fun, isn't it? So what comes next? Let's go back to the readme. I do like to try and test it from the perspective of the person trying to use the thing. So apparently it's working, so let's do the env bit. Run, build, and then npm start. I mean, sure. Haven't got an API key in there yet. says, edit with your Gitty instance details. I'm going to keep saying it the wrong way, aren't I? It's just how I read it. Gitty. So let's have a look at that env before I put anything in it. So obviously, for this to work, you'd have to put your personal access token and your Gitty address. It's pretty straightforward, huh? So I guess I can just go into my control panel and get one of these. I'll give it a go after the show. Do you know what I mean? To confirm it works. Okay, so then we're going to do the npm start. Let's see if it breaks. It'd be nice to see it just start up. That'd be great. Oh, broken. What? So yeah, again, I'd get him to fix that. But can I just figure out what the last part is? So the last part would be, this would be what's added to, no, I'm trying to find the, that's what you would actually add to the MCP. So obviously I'll go away and test this, but that's what it's going to be. And like I said, it should enable me to automate uploading all of those repos, because I'm going to be honest, guys, I'm not doing it manually. It's going to take forever. It's like 100. Say it took me 5 minutes to upload each one. It's 170 of them. I'm not wasting a day on that. Let me see. I mean, it wouldn't be a waste really, but it's kind of like an unacceptable time sink. Like 170 times 5 divided by 60. It's 14 hours. So yeah, if I can get an agent to automate this, I will. And you'll know if I've succeeded, because you'll see them all appear, and it won't have been possible for me to have done it myself. Alright. So yeah, go beyond your limits. You know, go beyond your limits. Start augmented production today. There it is. I wonder what platform we'll build next. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, guys. It's been a wild ride. We're going to be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. GMT Standard Time. We started a little bit early today. We're finishing a little bit early today. But I will be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. Thank you so much, guys. See you next time.